start that recording. So if you do have to boot and get out and go do something because you guys are gym owners, or if you want your staff to watch this later on, we will record it and post it on our PushStart webinar upload. We'll put it up there and you guys can download it, and any maybe the slide deck as well from today. So there's other courses on PushStart now. We are rolling out a second phase of our PushStart free. So lots of great courses from Stu, Jacob Hepner, even internal staff of PushPress who have been gym owners for years, like myself and others on our team. So it'll be very exciting. So if you need to get this, we'll be uploading it. Today, real quick introduction. My name is Gavin, and I am the Director of Customer Success here at PushPress. And I've been with the company for about 1.5 years, been using the software for over 5-6 years, come from across the community. I'm originally from Minneapolis, currently for a few months while it's cold as heck up there, I am down in Arizona. So we're going around the States. And go ahead, Stu, give yourself a little introduction there.
What's up, guys? My name is Stu Brauer. I created a handle called WTF Gym Talk back in 2015. I've been in the fitness industry since around I was 15 years old. I opened up my gym in 2010-ish, and I've started as a CrossFit gym, rebranded that, used the success of the gym to buy commercial real estate, used the commercial real estate to retire. And now I get to spend a lot of my time hanging out with cool people like Gavin and making content for you guys. So excited to jam with you guys today on what we got planned.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Stu. Thanks for taking the time. And it's exciting to see this webinar. The second one, we did one last month that is also uploaded, so you guys can watch that. That was on fourth quarter strategy. Today, though, we are talking about how to create an annual plan, right? 2023 is right around the corner, and you want to be proactive. We don't want to be reactive, even though that does happen. So today, the topic Stu wants to talk about how to create that with your team, or maybe even that's maybe part of your goal is for the annual plan is to create more of a team. So we're very excited. So Stu, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, one last thing, housekeeping. If you got Q&A questions, throw them up in the Q&A chat. Obviously, feel free to throw that up there if you have some discussion topics, but we'll get to the questions Q&A at the very end, and a lot of time we have left. So Stu, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome, guys. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got the slide deck that we're using in one of the newer courses for PushStart, which is the course product that PushPress has created, that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. My goal, though, however, is you're going to be able to watch that course. Now, so what I'm looking to do for today is to go far deeper than I could in that 10 to 15-minute course that I did, and even take some examples from you guys. One of the things I've found in working with gym owners when they're looking to create an annual plan is that they often don't even know kind of where to start. So I might lay out exactly step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and selecting the items they want to accomplish for the next year is something they're like, I don't know, is that feasible? Is that too far off? Is that something I should be trying to do in 2 years or in 8 months? So I would love participation with you guys. I think this will be a very cool interactive one that we can do together as I go through here. I'll be asking you for your participation. But let me go ahead and just break down the overview of how I have created annual plans for myself when I owned a gym, and how I've done it with hundreds of other gym owners that I think breaks out the year pretty nicely, and it spreads all the love that's needed across the various elements of the business and yourself as an owner. Okay. So if we're going to go ahead and look at this, and we're going to go ahead and essentially kick over here real quick, there are 4 sections to an annual plan. So we sit here on the cusp of 2023. And when I'm thinking about next year for your gym, I'm thinking of 4 departments. The business, we want that to improve. Whatever those KPIs, whatever those metrics are that we're going to decide, we need improvement there. We need growth. Number 2, we need to grow and develop our HR. Remember, founders, you guys who are the owners, you start businesses. You do not grow them. The biggest mistake any business owner can make is thinking, I grow the business. It's impossible. You are one person. You cannot grow the business. You lead the vision, you lead the direction, and you assemble the team of people who grow the business. So we'll set an HR goal. For some of you, it might be hiring your first full-time employee. For some of you, it might be, making enough money to give a raise to a current full-timer who's been putting in the work and has been a loyal ride or die next to your side the entire time. Okay. We'll talk about HR goals. Then we're going to come up with a client experience goal. We constantly want to improve the client experience. In some situations, that could be something as superficial as purchasing some new equipment, or, painting the bathroom and upfitting the mirror and maybe just making it look nicer in there. And in other scenarios, it's maybe changing the entire way a class is structured. Maybe you've been looking to reformat the entire flow of your group class. Maybe wanting to get a little bougie and offer, nice sweat towels for people when they come in, or do, offer cold brew for the members in the morning, whatever it may be. We'll talk about that. And then there's a personal one. And this is by far the most important. Most small business owners eat, sleep, and breathe their business. So much so that when we think of time as an actual limited resource, we don't think of it as limited. It's like, oh, I can do that. I got time. I can do that. I'll get that accomplished over this period of time. We rarely take time to create selfish goals for ourselves. We're too busy thinking about the business. It is imperative when I work with a gym owner that we establish a very selfish, non-business related goal. This year, I'm kind of excited. I just did this with a bunch of my clients. I've got a guy who wants to play the 12-string guitar, another one who wants to do kite surfing, and another one who wants to take a 3-week trip to Australia to go on some safari, kangaroo petting kind of stuff, whatever they do down there. So these are all just random personal goals that they have. They have nothing to do with the business. Now, the business has to be in a good place for them to be able to afford to do it, to be able to take off the time and all that other stuff, to be able to afford a 12-string guitar, like whatever it may be. So it's related to the business, but it's a selfish goal that I don't want you to have anything to do with the business. So we can avoid burnout. And remember, think of your business. You ever see someone walking a dog down the street and the dog's just pulling them down the street? And maybe in your head, you say to yourself, like, who's walking who? Well, that's the
Definitely
business.
me.
Yeah. Okay. The business is that dog. Who's walking who? Did you create a business that bullied you around and told you, no, you can't go to your friend's birthday party. You've got work to do. No, you can't go and do this. You can't take a vacation. You don't have any staff. Or are we in charge? And that's really kind of what I try to do with this business goal, is try to take back control, because we all know, no matter how good you are, the business ultimately is, wears the pants in the relationship many a times. But if we can set up some really good, clear personal goals for ourselves and take selfish time for ourselves, it helps balance things out. All right. Now, we're going to do this by creating these macro level goals. Okay. Now, when we're thinking of creating a macro level goal, I'm going to scoot up here a little bit. Essentially, macro being big picture. It should be not too audacious. It should be something we can achieve within 12 months or somewhere at least nearby, but it needs to be a big picture goal. Now, in this example I gave, I want to grow by 100 members this year. That's a macro level goal. What we'll eventually do then, if that was your goal, is we would then go ahead and break down all the micro goals and the steps that would need to occur in order for you to achieve that. And this is where I'm going to ask for a little participation here for a second. Would anyone throw up in the chat a macro level business goal? So this is about the business. It's not HR or personal, just a business goal that you have for 2023, macro. 500K in revenue. I like that. What else we got, guys?
Let's make sure when you're doing the chat, guys, make sure that you're doing it for everyone, so everyone can see it. I think it defaults to host and panelists, so throw it in there. Everyone can see. Thank you, Joe. Awesome. All right, 500K. Come on, y'all. You got them.
150 members. Here we go. Grow by 50. Purchase new equipment. Okay, cool. Good deal. So you guys are kind of grow our members to 80. I love it. Get to 100 members. Great. Now, obviously, I have no idea kind of where we are. The individual said, I want to get to 80 members. Are we sitting at 40? Or are we sitting at 8? Right? Type of scenario. So I'm going to assume whatever goal you've got in your head macro wise, it's feasible for us to accomplish within the year. If you're unsure of the feasibility of it, you always go and look at historics. Like, well, it took me 1 year to go from 0 to 40. So by that theory, I technically could go from 40 to 80 in year 2. By that theory, right? By historics. That's generally what I recommend. Okay. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to use the gentleman, Joe, who threw his hand up first here. He said 500K in revenue. I love that, right? That gets me from 6 to midnight. That's what I like talking about here. So what are the micro level goals we would need to achieve, or Joe would need to chart in order to get to $500,000 in revenue? Well, we can go ahead here. And if you guys have, one of these old school, big obnoxious calculators, like I still do, 500 in revenue divided by 12 he would need to generate $41,666 per month in revenue. Okay, so now we've distilled it down to monthly. Great. Now let's think about per month. Again, I don't know Joe's. I'm going to going forward here. I'm going to be taking hypotheticals. Let's assume Joe is a group class only model. He has no other revenue streams except group class. Let's say he's currently sitting at 220 members. All right. We could take what he's currently making. I don't know that number, but we could take what he's currently making and figure out his average client value. We're all familiar with how to do that. And we can make an assessment, be like, okay, based on our current 220 members, and we're currently doing $30,000 for a hypothetical number, 30,000 per month is what we're doing. We want to get to 41,000 per month because that's what gave us the 500 per year. So if we're doing 30 right now and we have 220 members, that gives us an ACV of right around 140. Okay, so we're at 140. A couple ways we can get to 500 or 41,000 per month in revenue: increase the number of people or increase the amount of money they each spend. Maybe I'm talking with Joe and we're talking about this. He goes, Stu, I've got a big facility. I can pack more bodies in here. I did my operational capacity numbers and I can put more bodies in here. Okay. If that's the route we're going to go, that's where we're going to go. So then our next micro goal will be, okay, how do we get from 220 based on his current ACV of 140? All right. So 140 is his ACV. We need to get to 41,000 per month. So 41,000 divided by his ACV of 140. Everyone do the math with me. We need 292 members. He's at 220. What did I say? 220? Yeah, he's at 220. So we can see now the delta. All right, that delta is about 70 members. Well, what's 70 divided by 12? That would be 5.8 members per month. You guys see, we just slowly stair step this thing down and distill it to its smallest, easiest goal. So if you have an annual goal, what would be the smallest, easiest goal to get it to? Well, we could take it quarterly and then monthly and then weekly. And hell, we can take it daily if we needed to. Okay. That is how I recommend you start distilling down the goal. And you should start with that big, that big number, that big goal up here, and have multiple breakdowns of what that looks like. All right. Using this as a common example, let's say we needed to get to that 41,000. And based on the numbers we just ran here, we know he needs to generate, an additional, he's got an extra 70 some members in the year. We've got to get there, right? He's got to do about 6 members per month, whatever it is. Cool. If he's got a net, not gross 6 members, because what happens when you think about growing 6 members? What happens if you lose 8? Growing 6 didn't do anything for you. We need to net 6 members. So that would look like 10 in, 4 out. Not bad. Not bad at all. And if that's his plan, then we need to start talking about, okay, well, what do we got to do to net 10? Or I'm sorry, to net 6. We want to get 10 in. Wow, last year, Stu, we only averaged 6 in per month. We only had 6 real good prospects come in per month. Okay. How often did we post on Facebook? We post 1 time a day. All right. Well, we need almost 2 extra production. Let's get to 2 or 3 times a day. How many offsite events did we do? We did 3 offsites all year. We did one, a holiday party, 5K fun run outside. We did a farmer's market one time, and we did a thing for St. Patty's Day. Okay. And again, we need to significantly increase this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to double to triple that production for next year. We're going to go on the calendar and think, what events can we piggyback off of? What 5Ks, what philanthropy cleanups, what kind of open houses, what kind of fun things can we collaborate with? Is there a brewery having a grand opening? Can we have some membership appreciation things, whatever it may be? And this is just kind of where this thing, it started here. It's like every crack in the windshield is splinters through. That's what this should look like. You should be at your whiteboard with that big goal up top for business, and then breaking down all those little macro goals. And then off of it will come all these offshoots of what needs to be accomplished to achieve that. And, Gavin and I could create 1,000 slides with 1,000 different examples, and it still wouldn't satisfy everyone's needs. This is an exercise you're going to need to go through. And it's very basic when you really start thinking about it, but it'll be amazing to sit back and be like, holy crap, getting to 500,000. That's, okay, that we got our work cut out for us, team. But at least now you can see all the things that are needed, and we can start thinking about timelines and things of that nature.
It's a great way to brainstorm. I think it's a good way to, you don't think about it. It's the perfect delineation of these macro goals to micro. I don't think you are going to have it perfect. It's kind of just get those, word vomit it onto the whiteboard and trace it and just use it as an exercise is the first step. Tanya, real quick, has a question. Would retention
Yes.
rates apply to the revenue goal as a micro goal? And I would probably say yes.
Yeah.
Maybe even an offshoot of overall retaining membership, right? I mean, like Stu said, six in, 3 out, 6 in, 3 out. You got to be thinking about that member appreciation. Two birds, one stone. You're keeping your members happy, and they're also maybe inviting some friends and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I think they're all interconnected.
Tanya, it's a great question. Gavin's 100% right. I would use your historics from last year. Everyone just use last year's historics. Run your average monthly retention. If you were at 92% retention and you were growing and netting 3 memberships per month, use that as the projection for coming up. Obviously, we want to improve it, but at least we're out going after an actual historic data piece. But yes,
Right.
the problem is anytime you guys want to grow in revenue or you want to grow in memberships as your macro goal, which I get it is a lot of ours, it's going to splinter into retention. It's going to splinter into marketing. It's always going to happen, right? So it's going to be more than just sales and getting that money in. It's how do we get it in? How do we attract them? Marketing. How do we keep them? Retention.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's go ahead and let's take another little stab at this. We're going to get some more participation here in a minute. So let's say we want to go ahead then. Oh, let me go back. I skipped over. And this just kind of, you guys will see this in the course, but this just kind of basically splits this out. Let's say one of you had an HR goal. If I want to hire a full-time GM, there's a lot of you that probably have that goal. Again, without knowing your financial situation or what your payroll budget is, we could get up on the whiteboard and be like, okay, well, let's create that role in the job description within the org chart. If you don't have an org chart yet, I would highly recommend checking out. It was one of the first courses we published in PushStart was creating an org chart and why that kind of sets up your team. If any of you guys do fantasy football, right? You set your lineup before the week's games. This is like that, but it actually makes you money, right? It actually really impacts your life. Setting up your fantasy lineup, your lineup of your business via the org chart. Now we need to go ahead. Okay, well, I want a GM. How much do GMs get paid? I don't even know. Maybe I'll Google it. That helps. Maybe we could also just, drop into other gyms in the area and talk to people and ask questions, talk to other industry experts, shoot people DMs, myself, anyone in PushPress, and be, hey, what do you guys think is a good salary for that? We could go ahead and look at your census demographic. What is the average AGI, adjusted gross income, in your area in last year's census to kind of get an idea what is a good amount of income to generate for someone to have a full-time career in my town, in this zip code. Then we need to go maybe consult with our accountant. Hey, listen, so I want to pay this person $40K a month. I'm sorry, $40K a year. What's that actually going to cost me in taxes? I've only ever had 1099 contractors, so the burden of tax wasn't on me. So that'd be another step in this whole process you'd have to take. And then you guys can read on, obviously, based on our payroll budget, we would need to increase and generate additional revenue to the tune of X. Well, in order to generate that additional revenue to hire this full-time person, we're going to need to sell X. So again, most of our goals, HR, business, are going to eventually bleed through sales, through marketing, through retention. It's not just going to be siloed in one category of the business. Okay. Now, when we're going and looking and creating measurable, observable, and repeatable results, all my Glassman fans out there, right? Greg's, big thing was that everything needs to be measurable, observable, and repeatable for it to be a true experiment. And this is something that in what we're doing here with creating a annual plan, it'll be measurable. Okay. If it was successful, we should be able to repeat it the following year. Okay. And the main thing is that it should be an observable from a objective perspective. So one thing I have wrote up here is make sure you have specific KPIs that are objective versus subjective. So for example, if one of your goals was client experience and your goal was, I want to adjust our programming. We've had a lot of feedback from members recently. They're not exactly thrilled. We kind of do this old school thing that worked maybe 6 years ago. We're going to change it up. Well, how are we measurably going to, measure that? How are we going to observe it? Are we going to send out a survey at the top of the year and then perform the programming changes over time? upload videos and do interviews with the coaches on our podcast about why we're going to this style of training or why we're incorporating more of this, and then use the exact same survey mid-year and end of year. And if the scores go up, we will measure that and say that it was our observation of success. The reason I'm bringing this up is because not everything is going to be as black and white and, using your calculator as revenue and membership growth. You're going to come up with some that are going to be a little bit harder to see. I had one year, and this is very difficult. I want my staff to be more fulfilled in their careers. Talk about like something that's going to be pretty difficult to measure outside of, quantitative surveys. Pretty difficult. It revolved a lot of qualitative work, and I had to equate these type of responses in these type of conversations and surveys will equate to me an observable, measurable, and hopefully repeatable success or failure on my HR goal of creating more fulfillment in their career. So I just wanted to make sure to bring that up because every time I do one of these, I always get a question like, hey, well, how do I do this one? There's not really a number attached to it. It's more like a vibe or a feeling, and feelings can be fleeting and they can be temporary based on emotion. And then I want to kick over real quick, to the personal. I talked about that one's my favorite one. When you guys are creating your personal goals, they're personal, but they're backed by the business. If your business probably doesn't hit its business goal, your staff doesn't hit the HR goal, you may not have the funds available to pay yourself to do this thing, to take up this hobby, to buy yourself that toy, go on that trip, and you may not have the staff available to support you while you're gone. Okay. So this is an example of one that I personally would love, go do. I'd love to go to Dublin for St. Paddy's Day and be gone for 2 weeks and drink myself silly with Guinness. That sounds phenomenal. I deserve that. I've been a gym owner for a long time. This is what I deserve. Well, in order to do it, these are the things we need to think of. And this one is interesting. This one, I want to see if a lot of you guys would have gone this route. So let's say the trip, we ran the numbers, it cost $12K, but I want at least $14K in my savings account personally, so I feel super safe going on this trip. Okay, that's easy enough. Can I make that kind of money? All right. I've never left the business for this long before. So will my GM have all the tools and success needed in order for her to be without me for 2 weeks? Well, I'm going to book a meeting with her, discuss my plan, and ask her, what do you need for me to be successful? Are there any systems that are missing? Are there any things that require too many people or 2 or 3 people? And with me being gone, that's not going to work in our business. What can I help button up and ratchet up? Because it's only December and I've got time till March 17th comes around. Make, little things, get on the calendar. Is the CrossFit Open happening? Did we participate in a 5K volunteer station, right? Do we have some philanthropy event going on that weekend? Is there anything on the calendar that, I don't want to have already purchased this ticket, like, oh crap, I totally forgot. We signed up for a nonprofit, workout fundraiser for breast cancer awareness in October. Damn it. Next, well, let's say money is going to be tight. This is the one I was asking if you guys would have thought about. When you go away, your payroll generally goes up. And if you ever go away for an extended period of time and you didn't pay more money, it's something you really need to sit back and be like, how did I get away with that? How did I leave? And I'm a key worker bee here and everyone had to make up my work, but I didn't pay anymore. We don't want to let that happen. So if payroll, I'm like, man, I need to pay this person more by about, X percent. I probably should maybe work. Maybe I have to work a little bit more. Maybe I should give a couple of coaches some more time off in the months leading up so I can store some nuts for the winter because I need this money. I'm running on a tight budget, Stu, like I know so many of you are. I don't have just a ton of money sitting in a payroll checking account. Well, then you have to play chess, not checkers, and plan ahead. You might have to do more work for 90 days leading up to save yourself on that payroll money. And you're not only saving it, you're just taking it and putting it into a savings account or putting it somewhere else so that when you leave for 2 weeks in March for St. Paddy's Day, you have extra funds available to pay coaches for the extra work that they are doing. These are all the kind of thoughts, guys, that go into creating a comprehensive annual plan. What questions do we have? Ron, ACV stands for average client value. Take your TMR, your total monthly revenue, divide it by the number of customers you have. And I'm assuming this is a solo revenue stream, right? You make $20,000 and you have 200 customers. That would provide you your average client value.
Yeah, throw the questions in the Q&A and we can kind of take them as
Yeah.
they come. And again, if you have questions that come up later in the day, like me, when I'm like, oh shoot, I should have asked that.
Yeah.
You can certainly reach out to myself, and I can
Let me
get answers
prod.
from Stu. And yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
let me get you guys involved here a little bit. Someone think of a goal as I was going through this on any of those four spectrums, in which in push start, we can get you on that. That part's
Mhm.
real easy.
Yep,
We'll
that's
get you
gonna
on
be
push
easy.
start.
Gotcha.
Think of a goal that might have came into your head, but you're not sure if it's a good goal. Like, should I try to achieve that this year? Or how would I measure that? Is anyone coming up with that? You've got a goal in your head, but you're not really sure, like, is that even feasible? Am I just stupid for thinking I can accomplish that? Or, yeah, okay, I want to do that. That's my goal for HR. But how am I, like, what steps would I need to take? I don't even know where to start. How do you recommend compensating staff for taking the lead on some of these events? Okay, so I mean, we're assuming like, and this is for MR. What's up, brother? So again, if you're doing this where it's off-site and you're paying them for a duration of time, the easiest thing is if you pay them already hourly, you could look at the same. Is it worth the same amount of money? It's not coaching a class, but it's doing something that's actually a little bit more difficult, being extroverted, being somewhere they don't want to be probably, and talking to strangers versus
Mhm.
being in a gym that they're familiar with, doing what they know and talking to members they like. Yeah, you should probably pay them at least the same if you're going to just do it
Yeah,
hourly.
and then I've sometimes thought about, okay, if that event's bringing any revenue, if somebody have a unique demo or a unique trial that they sign up for, you can then track them actually coming to the gym and say, okay, they actually signed up. I'm going to compensate a percentage of that first month membership to that coach.
Yeah. Ron's got a great sentiment. This is a paradigm we all have in the beginning. I know I was so hungry when I first started my gym. I had so many goals. I was like, Gold's gym, it's going to be like Stu's gym. I'm going to have this massive empire. I just had these crazy, audacious goals. Again, if you're in this right now, you're in it for a minimum 10, 15 years. If you're going to withstand the time of this, like you're going to like, I'm going to do this so I can retire and set up. This is not something that's done for you in 5 years. So I would tell you, nice and slow and steady, easy goals. Whatever you're doing this year, go ahead and maybe put a conservative number on top. I don't care if it's revenue, number of clients, whatever. If you put a conservative number on it, I'm going to try to do 40% more of what I did this year.
Yeah,
Right?
because they have no records to fall back on from your year previous, or 2 years ago. So if you're coming right into it, obviously reach out to maybe some non-competitors in the city, and that talk to other gym owners. PushPress has a nice community. You can talk to those goals in there, and we can answer those goals and talk through it. But yeah, experiment. I would say maybe to see how things go and what you enjoy doing as well. There's going to be parts of business that you want to get off your plate. I remember that, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't like social media. I don't want to do that. And then you start to realize, okay, that's a goal. I need to get a social media somebody to execute this, or some kind of process or tool to get
Yeah.
some stuff off your plate. But
For Ron and the new gym owners, the number one goal, like obviously, it's got to be blood flow, and blood flow is cash. That should be your number one. Retention is generally easier for most gyms under 150 members. The cars they drive into the parking lot. Their kids. Their names. Their jobs. Retention's really easy in this smaller what we call Dunbar's number. But the thing that prevents you from growing is generally lack of funds to hire staff. Because that's what growth is. Because it was just you, like businesses would look like this instead of like this, like pyramids. Okay. You need a strong foundation. That foundation is with human beings. Right. So I would tell you, grow your cash flow. Think about that. But then all that money you reinvest is, I'm a big fan of reinvesting into HR in the first 3 or so to 5 years of your business, because that's what incubates you from being able to get out of this thing at some point and being able to take that 2-week vacation to Dublin. You don't have any full-time staff or any people to cover for you. You're golden handcuffed, even to a profitable business. So. One other question. I'd love to hear someone, I know it's hard to do. Does anyone have a goal that they think is audacious? They're not sure whether it's just like it's out of the park. Like I shouldn't, like I can't accomplish this within a year. Emily, you could do it privately, or you could set it up, you could send it to the group. Oh, Alan, great one, dude. Everyone, Alan just
That's
threw
right
up.
up. That's right up Stu's alley.
And I would tell everyone it's certainly not a 1 year goal. Buying a building, upfitting the building, moving into the building, you're generally looking at 3 years. When you talk from the time you start your research to landing a deal, getting financing, contract, everything, to moving in, getting your certificate of occupancy, you're generally looking at a 3 year process. Now, for those of you guys who all like to buy the building thing, I love it. I love the enthusiasm. There is a prerequisite to sit at that table. You have to have been planning for it with the saving of funds. I had a gym owner like, man, I want to buy a building. I'm like, awesome. Like, how much money we have saved up? He's like, nothing. I'm like, all right, that's okay. We can start, And then we were looking at the numbers. I'm like, what'd you spend 30 grand on last year? He's like, new Echo bikes. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe, yeah, that possibly could have worked. Or we had this other goal. So that's why, again, it's hard. Like people have goals and then they take their eye off the prize and they're like, ooh, Echo bikes. Like, yeah, but which one do you really want? Or is this like an in the moment spontaneous thing? Have completely full classes. Bailey, that's a utilization rate of 100% is what she's looking for. The number one way to grow that, guys, is to make your classes and those class times and those instructors and the workouts popular. Look at how spin studios do it. 5:30 p.m. Come ride with me. We're doing Bay versus Jay on our spin ride. It's going to be badass. We're using the dumbbells. We're doing upper body. Like, go watch how some of the boutique studios and the instructors that are the celebrity instructors that get paid popularity model, they get paid per head. Look at how they advertise their classes. Rumble, SoulCycle, any of those where they get paid per head. Like if people that come in, watch the way they advertise those classes daily on their stories, on their Instagrams, on their staff's Instagrams. It's incredible. But that's what you're thinking of, Bailey. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Building buildings, all this, guys. I love it. It just takes, again, I would definitely take this, but like, that's a great one. Like micro goal. Let's say, again, let's just do this conservatively. $1 million building. You get an SBA 504 loan, which means you have to put in $100,000. So you got to have $100,000 liquid just to have a conversation. Well, okay. Be like, Stu, I'm in nowhere. I don't have 100,000. Okay. But can you realistically put away $1,666 per month? Okay. Can you do that? That's $20,000 per year. And over the course of 5 years, which we all know goes by like that. And by that time, hopefully interest rates are completely screwed like they are right now. You would have $100 grand ready to go by saving $1,666 per month. I mean, it's just math. It's just math.
Yeah, everybody wants to get into real estate, looks like.
I think it's a smart thing to do. I would highly recommend it.
A bad idea.
Yeah. Rod, it's a great goal. 24 members. Your goal is to get to 60 members next year. I think that's a great, I think that's a perfectly lined up goal. Slightly more than what you've already done, right? I think that's a great goal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that it's buy the building or something. It's definitely not an annual plan, but a 5-year plan, right? And I think that's when you're saying, hey, do you guys have audacious goals that you have? Sometimes I think it's the 5-10-year plan for sure.
Yeah.
You have to break it down to the annual, to the monthly plan.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you do exactly.
So not a bad idea to also 5-year plan this process too.
Yeah. Yeah, Nikki, I know you want out of your triple net lease, but after COVID, not many landlords are cool with that. I would just buckle down and realize that we're all going to be paying for triple net leases on most commercial property we lease for the future. Yeah. Tori, 100%. The nice thing is too, again, go ahead, Gavin.
I mean, I'll just say I've gone through so many nutrition coaches. They come, they're excited, boom, boom, boom. And then, first 3 months, not enough, increase in sales and revenue, and they kind of flop, right? So you want someone that's passionate, but I would say, man, you got to really handhold some of that nutrition coaches and have somebody like Stu is saying, the SoulCycle, that's talking about it, that's out there, that's very vocal. If you're not going to do it, then whoever you do hire to do it. And I do recommend trying to find somebody with that personality trait that can execute it.
Yeah, you need someone who's a thespian, just very, very extroverted.
Yep, spreading the gospel of nutrition. Really, that's the personality trait, which is hard to find and maintain. It's easy to see in the first 3 months, but maintain that. So supporting them so important.
Yeah, look at what Nicole has done with HSN, Healthy Steps Nutrition. She's just done such a phenomenal job, and the gyms that she's working with have really kind of mastered a lot of the nutritional services in addition to their group fitness or personal training services. Really look into Nicola Coyne. I think I pronounced her last name right, but with Healthy Steps Nutrition, incredible entrepreneur, very awesome woman.
Yeah, I took the course when I was just kind of working up my ranks and my certifications, and it was really helpful. And we actually, do partner. PushPress does have some partnership with HSN with our Grow product. So with some smart ways to market your nutrition and execute some of those elements. So if you're ever interested in that, if you are a PushPress client or maybe want to be and look into it, we have some options for you. So
yeah,
good call. Well, we're about time. I don't see many more questions coming in.
If you guys think of them, you can feel free to hit us up on the PushPress community Facebook group. And if it's something private, then it's again, shoot one of us a private message, and we're more than happy to answer to it behind the curtain.
Opinion on the Open, CrossFit Open, for those that are not CrossFit gyms on this call. The Opens definitely was a huge community builder. It was 5 weeks, and now it's 3, I believe, which I think is great from a gym owner standpoint, because boy, 5 weeks was a lot. But I don't know. What do you think about the Open and in general as a community building?
Look at the value. Look at the utilization rate. If you have 200 members and 100 of them sign up for it, that's impressive. I mean, we talk about, Tori was talking about, she's just trying to get 10% utilization rate on a service. We're talking about if you have 50% utilization on an event that's annual, right? Think about your holiday party. I bet you everyone here probably has like a 65 to 70% attendance and utilization on their holiday party every year. Why? Because it's fun. So let your own numbers do the speaking. How many clients do I have? How many utilize the Open and participate? If it's 40 or under percent, I'd say maybe it's considered like, okay, is it worth the headache? Is it much of a headache? I don't know. I know a lot of times that's a big lift for you, but if you got a high participation, then people have spoken with their wallet, and by their wallet in this one, I mean their time. Their time is the most valuable limited resource. And they've said, I want to attend this thing. And you should probably stick with that if that's the culture you have at the gym.
Yeah, again, looking back at the years before, and then if it's not working, thinking about adding something, doing fun little events, not just fitness focused, in the Open and like games and stuff really help my community. So, all right, well, cool. My dogs are yelling at me now to go walk them, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up, and we're at time pretty much. But again, we want to make sure that you guys, if you have questions.
And these are located where, Gavin? I know someone, Rod was just asking how to access PushStart.
Yeah. So again, we have a PushStart course that has the annual planning and some elements here that we talked about on our Thinkific coursework. And we are going to be uploading this recording later today, hopefully to our webinar on the PushStart Thinkific online course. So I will be sending out a follow-up email to everybody that registered and that was on this, that the recording is up, and you guys can share that with your team, share that with your mentors if you have business mentors, and obviously take this and put it into practice this coming week. Awesome. Great to hear that you're enjoying the PushStart courses. Yeah, we're very excited. We're adding to it, and we're continuing to build with Stu and others in the fitness space. So we want your feedback. Let us know if there's things we're not getting on the PushStart coursework that you want to hear about and learn more about. And you guys all have a great day, and I'll be following up. So
awesome.
Thanks, Stu.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for attending.
Yeah. Have a great day.
See ya.